I'm so excited to present the Residency Specialties collaboration video series. This two-part video is going to talk about pediatric-specific advice. Dr. Uppuluri has been so kind to take out her time. We're going to have two videos. We have ERAS advice for pediatric applicants in this video, and I'm going to link below the second part, continuing to talk about interviewing tips. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. You guys know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, share, and please send to your friends or people that you know that are going to be interested in applying for pediatrics. Good luck, everyone.
Hi, Dr. Uppuluri. Thank you so much for doing this. So let's start just with a quick intro of yourself if you want to tell educational background, where you came from, that sort of thing, so I have a better idea.
Yeah, I graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in 2016, and I went straight to medical school at SGU right after that. So I didn't take any breaks, which I'm actually pretty glad that I didn't now.
So I've made a general list of questions here. I know you've written out some answers in red, and you can elaborate to whatever extent that you feel necessary, just giving people tips and advice on what you wish you knew before you applied as a PEDS applicant, stuff like that.
Sure.
Sound good? Awesome. So question one, so what's just your overall advice for applicants that are interested in pediatrics? Sort of how did you approach the whole situation?
I think for pediatric applicants specifically, they're really looking for someone who's genuine. And this is really where your personality is going to come into play, because it's really important that you understand that your patient population is like no other specialty, and your patient population really responds well to genuine personality, and you're working with both families and kids. So that's what you want to come across as in your interviews. You want to be genuine, and that's the most important thing. So whenever, you have time, it's really important to give back to your community, because being a selfless physician is also really important in peds. And so I think something that really helped me was that I had a lot of volunteer experience in the pediatric field. That helps, but any volunteering really, really helps. That's something that was asked about a lot in the interviews, and was a good topic to elaborate on when I was interviewing.
Awesome. And just like a follow-up question, were you the type of medical student that knew all along that pediatrics is what you wanted to do, or was that something you developed throughout the course of your med school?
I actually didn't have like a specific idea of what I wanted to do. I knew what kind of person that I am, and that I work really well in fast-paced environments, but I also knew what kinds of patients that I didn't enjoy working with. And so I knew all along that I was really good with kids. That was something that I've always known. Pediatrics was never off the table for me. It did take a lot of time for me to figure it out. That was where my third year came into play, and I felt the most purpose in my pediatric core rotation to say that I knew the whole time.
Okay. And I think that's good for people to know, because I feel like a lot of med students have this thing where they're like, oh, I should have had, known so many years ago before I applied to med school where I want to be. But people really need to know that MS3 year is such a great year for you to develop what skills and just understand yourself better and what environment you're better in. So do you have any advice specifically for, like MS3 students that are maybe already know that they're going to be interested in peds? Like, do you know like how they should approach their core rotation, or maybe what they should apply in terms of their MS4 electives and stuff? And this is like kind of off the topic.
Your third year, if you already know that you're interested in peds, obviously you should be going above and beyond your core rotation. Going out of your way to help any resident, going out of your way to get to know all the attendings and to learn a lot. I know it's really hard with like studying for shelf and trying to make sure that you're getting whatever you can done in that short amount of time. But if you're really interested, that's really the time to shine. As far as fourth year goes, I pretty much front loaded my entire fourth year with pediatric rotations at the beginning and then through interview season. After interview season was when I branched out and did a little bit more of non-peds things.
I think that's a good piece of advice to give to MS3 years, regardless of whether you know what you like or not. Try to give your best at every rotation, because I think that you're already prepared, for when by the time it comes to apply for ERAS. So I guess that leads into the sort of the second question. So how did you prepare, like before ERAS was open, or what sort of steps did you take, if any in particular, to sort of prep your application season?
Right. So I started prepping in April, but that only meant that I started my personal statement. That was the very first thing that I did to prep. So once I finished my personal statement and I was happy with it, I was going to take step 2. So I kind of put my application on the back burner until I finished step two. I finished step two in mid-August, and then I amped everything up. So I set up my ERAS account, and I kind of worked on it for like maybe an hour every day until it was done towards the end of August, most of September. I would say, you want to give it your best.
So in terms of IMG applicants, any specific advice for IMGs that are pretty passionate about pediatrics and sort of know that this is what they're going to apply for?
Yeah. The first thing that I put down was scores are obviously a really big part of being an IMG applicant. If you haven't taken your step 1 or 2 or 3 yet, try to aim above average just to give yourself peace of mind going through the interview process, because for me personally, I really just needed that as a confidence boost kind of, although numbers aren't everything. Obviously, if you have taken your scores, and whether you're happy or you're not happy with your scores, the thing with peds is they really like a well-rounded applicant. Like they really, really do. And if you're not happy with your score, I can guarantee you there's going to be a program that recognizes the good in you, and
like something beyond than just the quantitative scores, right?
Yeah. So IMG applicants, yes, scores should be a priority, but at the same time, you need to make yourself a well-rounded applicant. It's not about the numbers. Even if you have a really good score, if you don't have anything else to add to it, it's really hard for a program to see who you are. And I keep reiterating that you need to be a well-rounded person to be in the pediatric field.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, from an outsider perspective, want to go to pediatrician that has good communicative skills, that is also knowledgeable, is like friendly, relatable. So those are all things that people want to see in a pediatric clinician, right? So it just makes sense to have somebody that has a lot of those traits. I mean, knowing you personally, I can say that I think pediatrics is so great for you. So I'm so happy that you went that route. So anything else that you want to add in terms of just IMG specific advice?
Yeah. So the next point was that I said to be smart about where you apply. So do your research. Maybe start researching in February. You just want to give yourself enough time to get familiar with the programs that have taken IMGs in the past. I was on the SGU match page list almost every other day for a long time because I really wanted to understand where these people were getting accepted, and I would go back like 5 years. Sometimes I would even go in the Ross match list or the AUA match list. Just really any.
That's a really good tip.
You want to be really familiar with them. And I did apply to some programs that didn't accept any IMGs, but this was because of regional reasons. But yeah, for the most part, I was really, really familiar with the programs that I knew were friendly towards IMGs or FMGs. I think I mentioned later on that Reddit was kind of my best friend. Of people who are really great and put up where they've interviewed as IMGs. And if they've gotten an interview,
I looked at those too.
Yeah. If they've gotten an interview as an IMG at that place is definitely going to be IMG friendly, even if you haven't accepted IMGs in the past. It's just, you just need an interview.
A really good point. It's like once you get that interview chance, it's really all on you. It's like they've already given you like sort of the open doors, semi-open doors, and after that, it's sort of all on you to really impress them to the max to be able to get that seat, and then to be able to be ranked by them, right?
Right.
Moving on to personal statement. As a PEDS applicant, any specific advice on personal statement, whether that's prepping, whether that's things you included? I remember, in my personal statement video, I did mention I had 3 friends edit it, and I just want to say that you were definitely one of the 3 that I had back in the day. And you were the one that sort of told me, does this sound like you? And I think that a lot of people need to have that perspective. And editing is so important. And I go into the crux of that in my video for personal statement. But what's something you want to add? Because I know we sort of did that phase together.
I wrote down here that I really wanted to get my personality across. I think this is like pretty applicable to all specialties. And I wanted to make it kind of like an emotional vibe. Because, dealing with kids is a really emotional thing. And I wanted to make it clear that one of my strong points is that I'm emotionally mature. And so I kind of wanted to make the essay a touching essay and something that would be close to people's hearts. And it's really cool that in peds, when you have a passion for kids, like that's such a cool thing to have in common with people. And so when you write about your passion for kids, your audience being someone whose passion is kids, you have like the power to really touch their hearts.
Yeah,
and I know it's a really hard thing to get across, especially if writing isn't something that's your strength, but that's where your friends come in. We went back and forth reading out loud our essays for hours and for a couple weeks. And I think that really helped me because it helped me to express myself a little bit more and be like, okay, well, maybe these words would be better here rather than these words, because some words will sound robotic. So, yeah, that's what I mean when I say emotive rather than informative. I wanted to get the point across of like my experience and who I am as a student and like what my strengths are, but I also wanted to bring my emotion into it.
Right. And I remember yours is a very, very well done personal statement. You did have specific examples from your life where you did peds related things. And I think that really added that extra touch of emotion, to your essay. So I remember that was a striking feature from when I read yours and edited yours. So LORs, just take it away.
Yeah, LORs are stressful, I think, for anyone. I didn't really know how to approach this. I kind of just like winged it, and I did the best that I could. I didn't have any interaction with my PD during my pediatric core rotation.
And it's hard sometimes.
If you're not rounding, then you're never going to see them. And my PD specifically was pediatrician, but his specialty was child abuse, which he was busy doing other things, working with social work. So I never really had time to work with him. He never knew me as a student and how I work. So I had to go out of my way to meet up with him. Actually, I met up with him maybe like once a week for the 6 weeks just to check in and to let him know who I am. It was really, I personally don't like sucking up to people. This is a pet peeve of mine, actually. So getting an LOR was really hard for me to do because I didn't want,
I'm sure there's going to be lots of people that relate to that, though.
To ask someone for this favor, but at the same time, the PD knows he's going to have people that he needs to write letters for because he's an important person. Make it very clear to them that peds is what you want to go into, and that you were hoping to get a letter from them, and that you just wanted to get to know them a little bit, so that they'd have an easier time writing your essay. And I gave him my personal statement towards the end, that he would know a little bit of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen me working on the floors or anything. So that was really what helped. And I asked towards the end. I did mention in the beginning that I'm hoping to go into peds.
I think your advice there was great. If you truly want something, then you just have to be proactive and go out and get it. And like you said, you made those connections.
Asking in person is much better, and it's less intimidating. But I understand like some people might have left the hospital by the time they needed the letter.
I definitely gave that recommendation in my LOR video. So just in terms of other LORs that weren't PD related, like other attendings and stuff, how did you approach that sort of scenario, or what's your advice on that?
Yeah, so I had a letter from my family med PD and my IM. I was actually lucky enough to work with them one-on-one.
Awesome.
And I let them know what my interest was from the beginning. It's a little easier to ask them because once you have that rapport, you can ask a lot easier. Fourth letter, my peds one, I actually got probably like 2 days before September 15th.
So it's definitely helpful.
Yeah, I was doing my PICU elective, and I worked really hard for that one, and I was lucky enough to work with one attending very consistently for the 4 weeks. So again, it made it a lot easier to ask him for a letter so quickly and so close to the deadline. That's really intimidating. So if you know that you need one more and it's coming really close to the deadline, prepare to work really hard and show them that you deserve this, and give them any help that they need, even if it means like writing a little skeleton of an LOR for them.
Moving into sort of, the ERAS application and what things you put down for pediatric specific experiences. I definitely spelled this wrong. Sorry. This is like all of your stuff, what you've written here. So if you want to explain.
I didn't have any work experience because I didn't take any breaks. I had a lot of research and medical administrative field kind of work. So I put that down, but that wasn't really peds related. Volunteer wise, like I said before, I had a lot of volunteer experience. I put down the main one here, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So my biggest advice, this is for mostly people who have a little bit of time. Any experience that you have, you should try to make to be proactive in that experience. So I was studying abroad my junior year of college, and I could have just had a great time and just kept traveling and stuff. But I think what made the difference was that I did spend that time trying to give back to the community. And because I love kids, and Make-A-Wish Foundation is something that I've always loved. I've loved that concept. So I really wanted to get involved. Then was asked about a lot in my interviews. Wherever you go, try to see how you can be someone
make an impact somewhere.
To make an impact. Yeah. So when I was in Grenada, I went to 2 health fairs, and you know, it wasn't that many, but you know,
something is better than nothing.
Something. Yeah. You have something really unique that you volunteered a part of, you know, brag about it.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. Like, when is the time that you're going to brag about yourself so much other than like interviews and your application, right? Like, there's a time for like people to shine and show the work you've done. What did you have there?
Yeah, I did a lot in college. I was involved in research throughout the 4 years. I had presentations. I had one paper from a research experience that I did a long time ago. But the main things that I was asked about were the abstracts that I wrote during my 3rd year, because that was the most recent thing. And I didn't even have abstracts that were in the pediatric field. I was doing my IM rotation for 12 weeks. So that was like the perfect amount of time for me to get involved in abstracts. And I wrote about 3 during my IM rotation.
That's amazing.
And so wherever you go, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can just ask any resident if they need any help with writing an abstract, because you definitely have a little bit more time than they do. And if it means editing it or giving them some more resources to research for, really, really great way to spend a little bit of time researching.
And I see that you have here under hobbies and interests. This is very important for peds, I assume. As it was similarly for primary care. Like, I am an FM same. I had so many questions on hobbies and interests.
Hobbies and interests is a huge thing for peds. There were many interviewers who I just spent the entire 20 minutes talking about my hobbies and interests, because that's all they wanted to talk to me about. And every single PD asked about one specific hobby, or like, I love
the same thing.
Yeah, I love classic rock music, and a lot of PDs happen to be, you know, in their late 50s and their elderly ones. So this is exactly what they like too. So that's something that I related to them on. You need to have something that you can talk about besides medicine.
I love that you wrote that. Like, pediatric programs want real people. I think that can stretch out to many specialties. I think that genuinely people want to see who you are when you come to this interview. They want to relate it to what's on paper. Right? They don't want to be blindsided by having this amazing application and then you come through and then you barely say a word. You know, the point of interviews is to just see that you are what you wrote. Moving on to sort of, what did you research and what were your resources before and during the season?
Yeah, so as I said, Reddit was my best friend. I think there are so many friendly people on Reddit. SDN was not my friend. I hated SDN. It's not an IMG friendly website. I said, I was on the match list for SU all the time. I went back to like 5 years. I would just look at like the patterns of programs that were showing up every year. I just mentioned here that I winged a lot of this. And
I think a lot of us do.
Yeah, and so that's why YouTuber, like your YouTube account, there was another YouTuber, Dr. Tommy Martin. He went to SU.
He's great.
He really helped because his wife matched into peds and he was doing med peds. So for me specifically, it was very helpful. Confidence boost. It's nice to see other IMGs who match. Honestly, just use your peers as much as you can, because it's really hard to be working as just another face in the crowd at a really big school like SU. So
you said actually a good point is like, not just that like our class at SU is so big. When it comes to applications, you're being compared to honestly thousands and thousands of applicants, and they weed out, you know, based on so many things like scores and then your like extracurriculars, publications. There's so many things that you get compared to, that when you finally match and you finally get interviews, it's like everyone should be so proud of themselves, because you really did, you know, really come through a field of people to get where you are. We work so hard, but it's so worth it at the end of the day. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so helpful. And I can't wait for people to see the next video on interviews. So good luck to all the people out there applying. If you guys need extra help, like I'll put my email in there. And if you guys want to direct any specific questions to Dr. Uppuluri, I'm sure I can help you in a way to sort of direct that things to her. But any closing remarks you wanna give?
I just want to bounce off of that and say good luck to everyone. And if they need any help, they can definitely direct their questions to me.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much. So
Thank
until
you.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.